Then we are live for another episode of Hard Money Monday. This week, I've got my friend Matt Brown joining in from what? You're just north of Miami, right?
Yeah, the office is in Boca Raton. I live in Lake Worth, so Palm Beach County.
Okay. Well, no idea where most of those places are, to be honest. And let's go ahead and make sure that we're going live on Instagram as well so everyone can tune in. Cool, man. Well, I don't know. Do you remember how we originally connected?
Through one of my friends that I used to work with,
Yeah,
Alec.
that's right. That's right, man. And so you've been in real estate, mostly wholesaling, right? Doing wholesale acquisitions and dispositions for how long now?
Just dispositions. I've been doing it for almost 2 years now,
Okay.
like 1.5 years.
And I don't think I know the story of how you got into it.
I always loved real estate. So, I mean, there's no really way of like getting into it. I've been watching, the fix and flip shows, flip or flops since I was like 14, always studying real estate throughout high school and, bought my first house at 19. So I guess that was like my first step into real estate.
Yeah.
And then, just started applying for places. And my brokerage now, Palladium Investments, is, just, I guess, my first real estate job.
So what, were your parents in real estate then? Because dude, I didn't even know flipping houses was a thing until I was in college. I'll be real with you.
No, I always knew about it. No, my parents aren't in real estate. Both were physical therapist agents, or not agents, physical therapists.
Yeah.
My dad's in roofing now. Nobody in the real estate game besides my aunt. And yeah, parents have not helped me at all in any aspect.
So how did you buy your first house at 19 then?
Hard work.
The
FHA,
grind, the
FHA,
execution, the hustle.
yo, FHA, 3.5% down, only a 10K down payment, and I rent out the other rooms and the little house hack.
Yeah.
Just now, finally finishing up the rehab there. Been living in a half renovated house for 3 years. Not the greatest thing. A lot of added stress, but now it's finally getting done, which is nice.
Where's your primary at?
It's in Lake Worth.
God dang, bro. So you found a house for like 300K there? I guess that was a few years ago, but still.
Yeah, right. May 2022. Everybody's like, "Oh, COVID! Don't buy houses now. Don't buy. Don't buy."
Yeah.
I bought, and now I'm sitting on equity, and everybody's still saying, "Don't buy," and I'm buying. If
Yeah.
if you can flip and do well in a market like this, when the market gets even better, you won't have a problem at all.
Yeah, dude, 100%. That's funny. I actually moved to Florida May 2022. So I got into wholesaling in Florida right when the market shifted. that was me with zero experience. Great time. So wholesaling dispo for a couple years. You've done, I mean, I know you bought a couple of flips recently. How many houses are you at right now for stuff that you buy yourself?
I've got 2 projects going on right now, not including my primary renovation,
Okay.
and then I'm under contract to purchase 2 more properties at the end of the month.
Nice, man. And you don't do any of these really in Miami area at all, right?
No, well, actually, the one that I have ongoing right now is in Lantana. I'm making that an Airbnb. Went double
Okay.
over the rehab budget. Not fun at all. And then one of the ones I'm under contract on is in Lake Worth, in Winston Trails, right by my house. So those 2 are like my first like local, but everything else I've done different parts of the state: Tampa, Gainesville, St. Pete, Lakeland. So my contractor, he's based out of Ocala. He'll go
Okay.
anywhere in the state for me, but being like Gainesville, I like a lot. It's a good market, and
Yeah.
appeals to college kids, young families. It's a big market as well.
Yeah.
It allows them to get the project done a lot quicker, being so close to there. So I like to cater to that, as well as cheaper deals there as well. Average home price in South Florida is, in Palm Beach it's 550, Broward
Yeah.
650, Miami 750. Like
Yeah.
you get homes in other parts of the state for 100K. You can do a lot more of those.
Yeah, that's so true, man. And let me ask you this. So like the flip that I just finished, just listed, the manager and designer that I used, like she handled everything, bro.
Mhm.
But I didn't get to the point where I was like, hey, I trust you enough that like, dude, I'm a lender. Like I'm not about to be going on site and doing stuff like that. No way. Not worth it. But I didn't get to the point where I had the relationship with her until like I funded she did the work on like 4 or 5 different of my borrowers' deals, had seen her stuff for a while, developed that relationship. How did you find a contractor in Ocala of all places that's like, "Yo, this is my guy. I can trust him. I'm gonna buy some properties and not physically like, I don't need to
Mhm.
physically be near them."
So my first 2 or 3 flips weren't actual flips. They were wholesales or clists or whatever you like to call them, where you just buy
Got
and
it.
relist. I didn't do any work. Didn't do, I mean, did okay on them. Didn't do amazing, because you don't really create that, that spread. You don't create that
Yeah.
equity. Um, and it only works in a really hot market. Market's a little soft right now, so it's not
Yeah.
really working. Now, through Palladium, through the brokerage, we have a lot of
Yeah.
investors, a lot of, investors, contractors, lenders, like tons of connections. And, I talk to different people throughout the day. They say they're also a GC as well as an investor or a
Yeah.
contractor or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I started talking to a few people, and this guy, Oscar, my guy out of Ocala, super nice, always easy to talk to. He was telling me a little bit about his business, how quick he is. He actually worked for, he still does. He does work for like a small hedge fund.
Got it.
So I knew that, working for a hedge fund, he can, he specializes in flip rehabs. That's what he
Yep.
does. So like with a flip contractor, they're quicker, they're cheaper. There's different things than like a normal contractor. That's also why I
Yeah.
haven't used people in South Florida, because the people in South Florida are more expensive.
Yeah.
They don't have time at all for you. I mean, my personal house, it's been 3 years. I haven't got it renovated due to that as well. I had to have him
Yeah.
come down from Ocala.
Dang, dude.
He's quick and cheap, and he knows what he's doing. He gets in and out. He prioritizes me as well. So I'll probably use him for as long as I can. He's great. But I mean, I do have backups. If something were to fall through.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's honestly my favorite way. When I talk about using a GC for a fix and flip, you're more or less getting into bed with somebody, especially if it's going to be, hey, I'm doing this virtually. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting your numbers. I'm trusting you to deliver on the timeline that you told me. And one of the most common mistakes that I see people make is like, dude, you knew this guy from a relationship you'd established where like you were making money independent of whatever he had going on, right? Whether he was buying your deals or he was doing work on people you were uh, for investors that you were selling deals to, you got to make money, watch him from afar, see how he was communication. I'm sure, dude, you're in the wholesale space. Like I'm sure not everything was sunshine and rainbows every time any situation came up with this guy or the work he was doing for someone else. But to be able to sit back, watch, evaluate, and then after you see like this person's legit, then go in and form that relationship. I respect it. That's like I have the exact same approach when I'm talking about like really putting money on the line with somebody.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. 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 You got it, man. So what deal crosses your desk, right? And I'm sure, are you buying mostly stuff that is like through the vertical of Palladium, the brokerage?
Yes, yes. Most of my stuff comes through Palladium. I pay the same price as everybody else.
Got it.
I just actually started recently buying outside the company, ran it through the owner, made sure it's all cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer buying through Palladium as well because more trusted. I
Yeah.
sell properties through Palladium. I know the owners. I know the properties. I know more details. A different company could hide some details from me, so I
Yeah.
don't really trust outside sources as well. But and there's not. I mean, we're one of the largest companies in the state, so there's not a lot of other sources that are really solid. I mean, I'm on pretty much all the lists.
Sure.
So I do see deals come time to time, but good deals, they go quick, and I don't have that same relationship over there.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is, like, if you're doing dispo, that means you're already comping. You're already
Yep.
looking into all the details. You're already ready to handle the objections. So it's a similar thing for me, man. I have a model where like I won't underwrite deals people send me. I don't care. Like I'm friends with everyone who's doing business in Tampa. Um, well, that's not true. I'm friends with a lot of wholesalers moving deals in Tampa, and they send me their deals. I'll market them out. But dude, I'm not about to take time to underwrite these deals. It's like, hey, if I'm already underwriting it as a nature of my business, and I can make an offer on it, and I'm ready to go, yeah, dude, I'll do that. I imagine it's similar with you, where it's like, hey, deal crosses your desk. I'm already going to do the work to underwrite this, evaluate it. When you get objections from people that you're trying to sell to, buyers, like you already know what the pros and cons of the deal are, and
Yep.
you can move quick. Like I really like that model. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It allows comping a lot quicker and easier, looking at deals all day. I know if it's a good deal within 5 minutes,
Yep.
And same thing, pros and cons, with other investors. I know exactly, what investors and retail buyers are looking for and, what they like to stay away from. It just makes the process a lot easier, and it's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. What does your box look like? When do you even consider making an offer on something that crosses your desk? Is it just straight up spread, or is it, hey, if your GC's going all over the state, do you give preference to stuff he's close to? Like, what makes you personally be like, this is what I want?
Location, market, spread. I have a flip calculator that I use, put the numbers in there, see if it makes sense. I prefer certain markets. So I'm not really touching West Coast right now because the hurricane, lots of inventory, dropping prices. Aside from Tampa Bay and St. Pete, very good markets. Sarasota is a little bit iffy. Right now, I mean, I've only done Lakeland, Gainesville, St. Pete, Tampa, and South Florida. South Florida is still higher in demand, but the purchase prices are way higher. So South Florida is fine. It's local as well. Typically, I buy up the East Coast all the way to Brevard, Volusia, Orlando area, Ocala, Gainesville, maybe Jacksonville, but it's an iffy market as well. Maybe Panhandle, same thing, iffy market. I would buy anywhere as long as it's a good deal, as long as the spread's there and the market's good. But I like to study market and, different spots in the market as well. My Lakeland flip didn't do amazing. A little bit slower market. It was during hurricane as well. But that neighborhood I was in specifically was a lot better than other neighborhoods. So, I also choose based on the neighborhood, for resale purposes. You don't want to be in a bad neighborhood.
Of course. Yeah, the problem, in my opinion, with Panhandle and Jacksonville, it's like, dude, it's really hard to find a deal at any price point where you're going to underwrite it and be like, I'm going to net 50K, like net, just because prices are so low. Like, I talk to people who do a lot of deals in the Panhandle, and every time I get sent one of them, I'm like, for real, dude? You're going to make like 25 grand on this. And they're like,
it's mainly rentals.
That's what people do. They make 25 grand and they do a bunch of them because all the houses. Dude, you can buy an amazing house, 250K, like really nice, fully renovated. It's crazy. Hard to make money on as a flipper, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
What have you found as in terms of like doing the virtual wholesaling? Like, obviously your Lakeland flip didn't crush. I think you did really well. You sold your Gainesville one, right?
Yeah, the Gainesville one's definitely my best one by far. I don't think I don't know when I'm gonna get another good deal like that.
That was a nice one.
But I mean, it went through you too, so we both did well.
Magic touch.
Yeah, exactly. No, that one was really solid. Definitely looking for more of those, but that's my best flip by far so far.
What have been the parts that you've noticed have been harder about flipping virtually versus doing stuff local? Because I will say, I don't really know a lot of people who are willing to do virtual flips. It's even one of the things that a lot of people who are kind of ballers are like, yeah, that's the one thing that's really challenging, hard to figure out. So what is it for you in particular that, do you have a hard time like knowing what's going on with your property, knowing like having to get eyes on it? Do you have somebody else besides your contractor, like a local agent who stops by and verifies? Or what systems do you have to find success? Or what do you find particularly challenging about it, if anything?
I mean, there's definitely a lot more risk, by doing virtual flipping. We have investors that invest from the Northeast, New Jersey, New York. They never even go to the properties and they do the same thing. There's people I've heard that, same thing from South America, Brazil, other countries, they're buying in Florida and they're flipping and having no issues. Mainly it's my contractor. He manages most of it and pretty much everything. He's amazing. He goes to the properties like all the time for me. So most of the stuff's through him. He doesn't do everything though. So he's not doing roof, AC. I sub out for those, to local companies, different things as well, pool, sprinkler, stuff like that. I just, call a few different companies, get quotes. Occasionally I'll have like, if it comes time to sell the property and I'm got it listed, I always put on lockbox, check with the agent, make sure they're an agent and they send me their details before going to the property and getting the code. But, the agents are always, I guess, when they're showing the property, they're checking on it, they've got the code. I mean, it's a little bit more risk, but it's not bad at all. The contractor handles most of it. You know, I visit up there occasionally wherever I go.
Okay.
You know, I
So
have
you will
friends.
do site visits in
Oh yeah,
person?
of course. Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
don't visit like all the time, but like, you know, I visit like maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the whole
Got it.
project. I've got friends in college towns, so you know, I always, you know, make a trip out of it to stop at, you know,
Mm,
stay at a friend's house or, you know, have fun for the weekend or whatever.
yeah.
This weekend I'm going up to Gainesville to check on the property. So, and you know, I'll probably hang out with some friends as well. But you know,
Use your imagination to figure out what happens with the rest. Yeah.
exactly. So,
So are you ever buying these without like making a stop in person to see the property, closing on them
oh,
beforehand or no?
I buy sight unseen.
Do you?
I buy,
Uh,
well, based on inspection reports. So usually it's based on inspection reports. It's mainly the numbers. That's all that matters. I mean, you're never doing a rehab for like less than 50 grand anymore.
for real.
To be honest. So, I mean, there's only so much a property could need. As long as there's an inspection report, there's no foundation issues, no flooding, no major issues that are going to cause, you know, a lot of red
Yeah.
flags. You should be fine. You know, just expect a full gut as long as the numbers make sense. The inspection reports still have the condition, everything. So, you know what you're walking into. But like the property in Winston-Salem is near my house. I bought it sight unseen without even looking at it. Just, they didn't even have inspection reports, just photos. But I was
Yeah.
like, you know, numbers make sense. I know this neighborhood, I've been looking for one in there for a while. So I knew it was a good deal and something to move on. But I mean, yeah, I always buy off inspection reports primarily, but you know,
This is going to be a super like in the weeds kind of question, but for me, I have a really hard time thinking about what's the best floor plan for a property. Like, dude, let's just be real. Most properties have terrible floor plans, or at least need some kind of adjustments.
Mhm.
So you buy these sight unseen, right? Are you kicking off reno before you look at it, or after closing, do you walk it, get a feel for like, oh man, this is how I need to change this up? How do you go about like the actual kicking it off after you buy it if you're buying it sight unseen?
So reno starts day one. So day one,
Fair enough.
all about flipping as quick as possible. I get the roof like set up for day one, day two, whenever to be done. You know, the layouts it is, you got to kind of use your imagination with the pictures and inspection reports, what the layout
Sure.
looks like. Look at similar properties in the neighborhood. Sometimes there's a lot of identical properties, but it was an issue I did have with my Lakeland property. The bedrooms were small and retail buyers didn't like that, but still ended up selling, still ended up profiting.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but still worked. You know, if there's something like a half bath, you know, or a utility room, I always love value add a bathroom, convert a half bathroom to a full bathroom. So, I mean, I kind of look at, you can go on property appraisal, look at the sketch,
Yeah.
sketch and kind of see where I can add a bathroom or kind of make it work. You know, there's instances where I don't add a bathroom, like at the Lakeland flip, I could have added a master bath and made it a 3-2 instead of a 3-1, but it would have added time to the reno, added, you know, more expense to the rehab, and it's just not worth that at that point. Sometimes you just want to get in and out.
Dude, permit risk is so real too. Adding a bathroom, like
exactly.
so real.
Yeah. I like to unpermit everything.
I mean, I would never.
My full gut in Gainesville, yeah, that was permitted.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, some of the inspection reports we get, we use 2 different companies through Palladium. One of them does have a floor plan sketch, which is nice. So that definitely helps. But you know, sketches, home sketch, and the layout is definitely very important, especially to retail buyers and especially at a higher price point.
Yeah. Here's a question for you too, because I had a good friend of mine, actually, he was doing virtually flipping in Ohio, and he ended up, he took a huge loss because basically the multiple contractors actually kind of pulled one over on him. But what was kind of interesting, so he went private money, right? No hard money. And like his inspection reports or like update on statuses were pictures from the contractor, but bro, they would like take pictures from other properties. They would send them like edited stuff. And I'm curious because I know like you've used Rain City, you've used other hard money lenders. And in my mind, if I'm flipping virtually, like, dude, I want the hard money lender sending an inspection, like an inspector out there, and me being able to look at the inspection report and be like, yo, what's actually going on with my property from someone who's not the person who's getting paid by me to tell me that they've renovated the property. Do you utilize that at all? Do you find that valuable, or is that kind of just like, whatever, it's
No,
nice, I guess?
yeah, I do find that valuable. It is really helpful. Contractors can lie and, fake pictures and stuff. So having that appraisal done, or, even the appraisals or the, re-inspections for the rehab draws, those are phenomenal. They do cost a little bit of money, but it's really worth it. Everything's being done, and, it's verified. It's a third party doing it. I haven't had that issue because I've been using the same contractor. I can trust him. I know what the properties look like too by going to them and from the previous pictures. So I know if that's my property or not. I wouldn't flip in Ohio. That's just me. Maybe Georgia. I would do Georgia because we just expanded to Georgia this year, and that's where I'm from. And I know the market pretty well, and my contractor will go to Georgia for me too. But that's probably the farthest he'd go. But I wouldn't do Ohio. That's more of like maybe rentals, for the Section 8 housing or something. But still, it's just too much risk. That's way too much risk.
Yeah. I do want to rewind on something that you said earlier, where I was asking you about your buy box, and you're like, hey, I know in 5 minutes if it's a deal or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's a piece of advice that I commonly give to people who are wholesalers that call me up and they're like, hey, I want to buy one myself. I ask them, how many wholesale deals have you done? They're like, oh, I've done none, or I've done one, or I've done two. And what I like to ask them, I'm like, how long does it take you to know if you have a great deal that you're looking at? For me, if the answer isn't 30 seconds to 5 minutes, if you don't know you're looking at something that's like legit got potential, you're not ready to flip.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on if somebody's wholesaling, whether it's like their own shop or whether they're wholesaling with a company, right? How many deals should someone do before they even consider taking on a flip?
I don't know if there's like a certain deal limit. If you're doing it yourself, maybe 25, 50, I don't know, maybe 10. If you're doing it with the company, I'd say more. When you're doing it by yourself, you're typically doing acquisitions and dispo. I'm doing just dispo.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of newbie wholesalers or just wholesalers in general, they don't know what rehabs actually cost because they're not flipping.
Yeah.
So like when I'm talking to investors, I know, they're telling me the rehab's higher than it is. I know they're right because I do it myself. I know what rehabs are. Nobody can argue with me if they're trying to argue over rehab. I'm like, nope, I just did this for less. Like you're overpaying, So that's a big thing. A lot of wholesalers, they don't know, how to price renos. And, a lot of them do have too high of deals too. There's no spread. Once they haven't done a flip where, you got to take off all these extra costs, not even including tax. You've got, closing costs on both sides, commissions, holding costs, all this different stuff that eat into your profit. And once you start flipping, it's, now you see there's really not a lot of money to be made, especially if a buyer's buying all cash. The return's a lot less than somebody buying with hard money through you and getting a full rehab loan. But I don't think there's really like a limit to where. I just think whenever you're ready, but you need to know what you're doing and have enough capital and, kind of.
I agree. I think part of it's not only you understand when a deal's a deal, no brainer, right? Like I only want to offer on total no brainers. But it's also like, okay, how did you find your contractor? Doing deals. How did you figure out which markets you liked? By doing deals. How did you figure pretty much anything out? By getting paid on deals that you didn't take the risk on, right? And so it's funny to me when somebody comes to me and they're like, I'm ready. Like, okay, well, do you have contacts? Like, oh, I've chatted with people on Bigger Pockets. I'm like, okay, so you talk to a bunch of other people that haven't done deals, right? Like, who's actually doing deals? You don't know that. My friend Nick Camrata, one of his things is like, it's like, dude, the best way to network is just by doing more deals. Like if you want to grow your network, you do deals and you do business with people. Yeah. And that's the nature of how you find the contacts for this problem of flipping real estate, which is essentially a who, not how problem. Like who can do it for me? Who's going to send me the deals? Who's going to finance it? Like you're just playing coach. You're playing quarterback. And if you're not doing that, in my opinion, you're not doing the business right. My thoughts in general, and we're coming up on time here actually. So Matt, for somebody who's listening in, they're like, dang, I am also in a market that's really competitive, or maybe like it's pretty slow, not a market that I would want to flip right now, considering doing virtual. What would you say is like, hey, here's the first action step for evaluating a market or determining if that's even a good move for you? Where does someone start with that?
I mean, it's personal preference as well. So, I mean, you got to identify how far away from home you want to be,
Right.
Certain price points as well, certain markets. I think like a checklist definitely to have is, your source of deals, like you were saying, it's who, you got to delegate everything when you're flipping properties, because, you are managing a lot, but you don't want to be doing a lot yourself. You don't want to be doing the rehabs. It takes longer. You do save some money, but
you don't want to do that. Agreed.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes too long. You're saving a little bit of money, but sometimes it's not worth it because then your holding costs split the difference. But you just want to have everybody set, you want to have your realtor. If you're not one, your source of deals, me, your lender, Jared.
There you go.
Yeah. Contractor, everything you need. So like, for example, my friend Aiden, I played soccer with him in middle school. He bought his first property, got the deal through us. Unfortunately, didn't use you for the lender.
All good.
But he used my contractor, and from purchase to listing was a 50K rehab 1 month. He bought it and got on the market within a month. It's not sold yet, market's soft, but he's getting some good traction, some good walkthroughs, and that's all that's needed. As well as the capital, of course. You just need to have a system set in place, and the best thing to do is you got to start doing it. You can only study for so long, and that's kind of what held me back. I mean, I started early, but I could have started a lot earlier because I was kind of just sitting on the sidelines studying and not really doing. I went into the game knowing what to do, but really applying yourself and being doing it like in action is really what takes you to the next level, and not only gives you connections, but allows you to fast forward.
I mean, bro, you spent all of year 18 sitting on the sidelines, and you waited till you were 19. I mean, dude, what you left on the table, unbelievable. Basically what I got from your advice there is like, hey, start off by determining your criteria. How far from home are you realistically willing to go? Because you probably do want to get eyes on it in person.
Of course.
What purchase price do you want to be at? What markets do you like? And then from there, getting your dream team together, right? Yep. Who's going to give you the money? Who's going to send you the deal? Who's going to actually do the work? Who's going to list it on the end, right? So awesome, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on. I'm sure we'll be doing more deals here shortly, whether it's me bringing you borrowers for your stuff or you coming back with another one. And it was a pleasure having you on for this week's episode of Hard Money Monday.
It was a pleasure as well, Jared. We'll do plenty more deals together.
Awesome, bro.